Well, hello and good day. Welcome to our live stream for today. The subject for today is nervousness. And it is in the context of speaking live on camera, doing public speaking, including on a stage. Now, let me begin by giving a little bit of context. If you've listened to me before, if you've participated in these live streams before, you may have heard my story about how I was thrust in front of an audience of 1,300 people when I was 13 years old and asked to do a public speaking session, to do a presentation, and how I was overcome by fear and worked on myself the night before and thought I was ready, but when I stood on the edge of the stage, how I was so nervous that I could almost hear my knees rattle. How I overcame that sense of immobilization and inability to deliver and actually did an okay job. What has happened since then has changed my life. Today, I'm here to talk with you about the experience that has been accumulated by spending well over 25 years teaching senior managers, executives around the world, leadership development, a critical component of which is public speaking, speaking in front of a live audience, speaking on camera, overcoming this sort of emotional baggage that would make one not deliver one's best in front of an audience. And so you probably know my story, and if you don't, that's a short version of it. I spent 10 years working at Procter & Gamble, having to speak. I spent a couple of years working at Bristol-Myers Squibb. I started my own company, Global Empowerment Institute, have had the opportunity to travel around the world and speak because my consulting business demands that I communicate orally as well as in written form. And so this live stream is designed to help folks to learn how to overcome the emotional baggage and the emotional issues and so forth, including nervousness, which is the topic of today. But I want to share with you something that just happened. Somebody said to me, it seems to me like your ability to speak has made you a lot of money. Why don't you help us with that? And I thought, yeah, whatever you do is supposed to make you a lot of money. And the person said, no. A lot of folks have talents, but they're nervous, they're afraid, they've got emotional issues and challenges. Why don't you help us with that? And I thought to myself, you know what? This is probably more important than I had given it credit for in the past. And so I want to share with you a story about me having to deal with my own sense of inadequacy and nervousness as I have begun my work in consulting and keynote speaking and running workshops and so forth. And I am now of the mind to share with you a little bit more about how all of the skill, all of the competencies of public speaking can actually enrich your bank account and make you money. Because I've kind of taken it for granted that it's a wonderful world to be able to get paid to speak. I was sitting in front of Dan O'Neill, and I'm so brave as to call your name Dan in case you should hear this. I know you're retired now. I was sitting in front of Dan O'Neill, who was the global CEO of the Campbell Soup Company, in an office in Camden, New Jersey, where their headquarters is. And I had a business partner named Gordon Wade. Now, I had known Dan because he and I had done some work at Campbell Soup in Toronto, and it went really well. Dan had paid me $125,000 for 9 months or 12 months of work with their team in Canada. And it worked so well that when he got promoted to be global president, he called me and said, Alvin, I need you to come to headquarters and do the same development work that you did for us in Canada. So I sat there in front of Dan and we talked about the project, and I brought Gordon on because I couldn't do the work all by myself, should he say yes. And we talked about the project, what it would mean, what the benefits were, and so forth. And sooner or later, Dan came to that question that had made me uncomfortable. I had been really nervous to talk about money because I know I know that I know my stuff, but when it comes to saying what the price is, I have not been really good at that. So certainly the moment came and Dan O'Neill said to me, okay, so how much would that cost us? Now, in my brain, I had prepared for this, and I was still in the process of trying to resolve it as to whether or not I wanted to say the number, because I figured in Canada, which is a smaller unit, we charge $125,000. It worked well. Should I charge them 150, or is it worth like 175? And that all happened really quickly. I was trying to get my energy up to say 150 or 175. And out of nowhere, I just heard this voice from Gordon Wade. That'll be $350,000. I was calm. I controlled my facial expressions. I learned that at Procter & Gamble, but my heart was raging. What the heck? And I waited. The next voice was from Dan. He said, does that include trading? Does that include training? The next voice was Gordon saying, no, that'll be extra. And then Dan O'Neill said, let's talk timetable. When can you guys start? I was like, you gotta be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. $350,000 plus training? Oh my gosh. I would never dare make a statement like that at that point in time. Subsequently, yeah, it was awesome. We brought on a couple other partners. We worked on the soup business. We worked on the pace salsa business, and we worked on all kinds of businesses, and more money was added for other categories. From that point in time, Gordon Wade kind of became my coach as far as my value was concerned. He knew what I could do. He knew the value of what we would contribute to a big Fortune 500 company. And he taught me self-worth, confidence, the ability to take the emotion out when I tell my price to people. He taught me the ability to make hundreds of thousands of dollars in the speaking business, in the consulting business, in the doing workshops business, to the point where without Gordon, I was able to go to Colgate, that was Camel Soup. I was able to go to Colgate Palmolive in Mexico, and over the period of a year and a half, they paid me $1.3 million. Why? Because I had learned how to manage my thoughts and my self-concept and my worth and the ability to attribute value to what I do. Even as I think about it, it is quite a story. I can feel it still in my belly. And so the reason I bring that up is I was recently reminded that I need to talk with folks about the value, the economic value of what we deliver in content. You are on this call because you want to achieve more in your life, and you want to earn more, and you want to be more influential. And again, if you've heard me, you hear this little thing that I say that is a bit of a mantra for me that says, if you want to earn more, and let me do it again. You may have heard it before, but this time it's going somewhere specific. That's different from the previous times. Do you want to earn more? Again, I say, that could be money, or it could be recognition, or it could be respect, or it could be proving the naysayers wrong about you. If you want to earn more, you have to achieve more because you get paid for what you contribute. Okay? It's a meritocracy. So you cannot earn more without achieving more. You want to perform at a higher level, and it is impossible, I say, from 20-something years of experience, and I'm only saying 25 because I don't want to date myself, 25 years plus. It's impossible for you to achieve more on a consistent basis unless you become more, because it is your being that represents the value. People pay you not just for what you know, but for who you are, for your attitude, for your communication skills, for your savvy, for your empathy, for your understanding, for your wisdom, because you put all that knowledge into a robot and it's not you. And if all you represent is facts and figures and data, you're going to be one of the first people replaced by artificial intelligence. So, I passed that one along. We'll come talk about that at a separate time. If you want to earn more, you must become more. You must dedicate yourself to an ongoing process of personal transformation. Every day, getting up and saying, how can I grow? How can I be better? Well, how could I have done this better? And learn more information, more stuff, more wisdom. So again, bear with me if you've heard me say this before. This effort of doing these live streams once per week is designed to help people to develop confidence and effectiveness on camera or in front of people on a stage. But that's not my personal interest. My personal interest is to see a human being who's operating at this level, say, normal level for that person, get so disturbed, so disrupted in his or her thinking, so challenged, have so many myths and misconceptions ruptured because of the work that we do together, that that person breathes in deeply and comes up and goes, oh my gosh, I have so much more to go. I haven't even yet begun to realize my potential, and get upset at himself or herself and go, God, I'm playing small. For all the dreams I had when I was a child, this is not enough. Why? Because this man with this funny accent and this strange face contorting itself in front of me has reminded me that there's more inside of me, and I'm not ready to die yet. Okay, let me go back. The thing that motivates me to do this is not just public speaking, although I love it, and it's highly profitable. The thing that motivates me to do this is I don't know of too many things that bring me greater pleasure than to see a human being hit the reset button and go, no, 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 I'm going to build from here. This is ground zero. Where I am in my life today, what I have achieved, and all the trophies and trinkets that I have received in my life, they are just ground zero. From this point on, I am going to build and go to greater heights and take on wings and soar. Why? Because I know there's more inside me. When I see a human being move from normal to abnormal, super normal, it makes me go, oh my gosh, what an amazing thing life is. That's what motivates me. And I'm fortunate because I have seen people make such dramatic changes in their lives that I'm humbled that I should have a little bit to do with it, even to teach them how to push their own trigger to set off the explosion in their lives. I am so humbled to see people who have doubled their income in 30 days, speaking about money. I have seen somebody at the Valvoline company who was timid and afraid, and whose parents taught him to go into corporate and follow the protocol and not rock the boat, and that he's going to do fine. Go, wait a minute. This man, Alvin Days, taught me that if caterpillars can fly, so can I, which is the name of my first book, as you may know. And so I got to do more. I've got to be more. And I've seen George with 3 months of coaching, interesting number, 3 months of coaching, literally solve problems in his department as a department manager that were outside of the scope of his job definition, his job description. His boss look for him and give him a promotion and tell him that life's much better working with him than it used to be. Have George generate $2 million per year of savings for the company. Have George's wife say to him that something is different about him and she really likes it, so it was affecting his personal relationship at home. And the last time I spoke with George, which was about a month and a half ago, George was now a vice president in the Valvoline company. And I talked to him today, and he still thanks me. Now, frankly, it's not me. It's that I am the adjutant. I am the one who disrupted his thinking to get him out of that mode of just going along with the movement and just be normal. He's a brilliant man. And I reminded him of that. This is a long way to say the following, and I may repeat myself. What motivates me to do these sessions is not just to stand in front of people and do public speaking. It is to see a life transform and take on wings and soar into the heavens, because it is extremely fulfilling. I mean, even to the point of the ones who are desperate, on the edge of life. I have seen Beth change her mind about committing suicide. I have seen Curtis change his mind about shooting a man. It is dramatic and impacting when a human being comes to contend with the notion that much of what we have been taught at home, in schools, and even in society at large is kind of limiting, and we need to dig deeper into our own capabilities, because we are marvelous, wonderful, amazing people. When last did you contend with the notion that you're not a normal human being? Because God doesn't make any of those. When last did you face up to the fact that there are dreams and hopes and expectations that you had when you were younger that have not yet been fulfilled, and you cannot begin to coast now? You have to dig in, go deeper, and go higher. So you see, this is what inspires me to do this work. So now, let's connect back. It just so happens that in all the leadership development work that I have been doing with corporate executives for, well, this particular one called Leadership Leverage Coaching for over 15 years, in my 25 plus years of working with big companies, it has a curriculum of close to 2 years worth of work, monthly work with these senior executives, such as, for example, conflict management, communication skills, organizational dynamics, and public speaking presentation skills, speaking on camera, speaking in front of a live audience. And of all the subjects that teach to corporate executives, the one subject that is most highly correlated with their ability to live life large, satisfied, successful, financially free is public speaking. I did not expect this. But I saw it manifest in front of me with my clients, people getting raises, people doubling their business volume. My investment guy telling me that he is starting over and rewriting his business plan for the very investment program that I was supporting. So I wasn't aware of this until I began to see it manifest in front of me, and then I began to do the research. One of my mentors is Earl Nightingale. And I read a piece of research that he referenced that indicated that if you should go back to school as a working adult to study something that would make you more valuable and make you earn more money, the single greatest subject you could study for that outcome, or said another way, the additional skill that you could gain that has the highest correlation with increasing your financial worth is mastery of the language in the country where you live. Think of it. That kind of weird, you know. Wait a minute, if I'm an engineer, shouldn't I go study engineering? No, it does not give you as much. If I'm an accountant, shouldn't I be better at accounting? No, it doesn't give me as much. Now, you should continue to keep pace with the changes in your industry. But those are technical subjects, or even if you're an HR person, your technical skills at HR will not make you as economically valuable as if you improved your communication skills. Words, learning how to use words more effectively, thought words. Now, this is really important. Thought words, written words, and spoken words have the highest correlation with increased financial worth of anything you could go back to school and study. And so it's no surprise then that I found myself in front of, yes, Colgate in Mexico flew their people up to Las Vegas and asked me to speak to them for a day because they were going through some restructuring and the people were all negative and they were not productive and so forth. And Colgate-Palmolive paid me, it was so close that it was like planned, 50% of what I used to earn at Procter & Gamble in a whole year. Half my year's salary in one day. This was bizarre. I was scared when I was putting the number down, but I thought, let me test it. Let me see if this speaking business is worth it. So now we're thinking about speaking from two angles. One, the speaking business itself is highly lucrative. But if you're not a commercial professional speaker doing keynote speeches and workshops and so forth, you still need speaking, according to the research that I learned through Earl Nightingale. Even if you are in a job looking for a raise and looking for promotions, it is your ability to articulate that which you know that gives you value that is greater than just doing the work. Let me say it a different way. Let's say that you're the world's greatest HR manager or greatest accountant. And you have to compete with somebody who is not as technically skilled as you are at accounting or HR. They're better at that subject than you are. But you know how to talk about it. You know the logic of it. You know the philosophy of the subject. You know how to train people. You know how to coach people. You know how to advise people on it. Your value is significantly greater than the one who can only do it. Because the one who knows the technical skill is an operational person. The one who knows how to articulate the philosophy and the message and the style and the approach and the process is an instructor, is a one who imparts knowledge, and is one who can be a strategist. So the choice before you in whatever field you find yourself, whether you want to get a raise on your job, or you want to be better at your own business, or you want to be an influencer, a YouTuber, for heaven's sake, or a TikToker. Your ability to wield words, according to how Shakespeare would say it, wielding words, is the greatest source that you have for increasing your income. Because you see, when you're a great communicator, you can be a leader. And the world is divided into leaders and followers. Some of the followers are really good at their stuff. They're technocrats. But business and the society do not pay technocrats as much as they pay leaders. Hence, my business is leadership development. And so, because this is a long way around, we're still on the point though. Because mastery of words, public speaking, is so highly correlated with value in financial terms as well as other terms, I want to talk with you about how to build your income by being better in using your words. Yeah. And so over the next several sessions, you want to tune in and you want to bring some folks who have an interest in this to this Sunday evening session. Because I know from experience and from research and from observing others that this is a very powerful place in which you can find yourself. So now let's think about it for a moment. When a human being is nervous about public speaking, why is that so? Is it typically because that human being doesn't know the subject? Possibly, but unlikely. Because when you know you're going to do public speaking, you tend to do research. So you have the facts, you have the information. When you don't have it in your head, you tend to write a script. So you have the data, you have the words in front of you. When you're nervous about public speaking, what's the cause? The cause is two parts. When that nervousness is extremely intense, to the level where we can call it fear, there are some dysfunctional things happening inside your head, inside your heart and your belly. Because typically it's not because you don't know your stuff, otherwise you might not have been given that opportunity. And so our coaching is going to deal with how you develop yourself, how you deal with your emotions. Yes? How you get past some of the things that plague people who stand in front of an audience, like imposter syndrome, low confidence, hypersensitivity to the opinions of others and thinking that they're judging you badly. We have established a protocol and a process for taking people through this kind of personal growth and development in the context of public speaking, knowing that when they master it in public speaking, it's going to affect their entire lives. Because you see, I want to write this down because I don't want to forget it. I just gave you number one. Number two about nervousness and the simp. I don't want to lose my thought here, so I'm writing this down. Number one, it makes you money. But it's not going to make you money if you're deeply afraid of it. And so we coach people on managing these emotions and developing the intestinal fortitude to speak your truth without fear. Yeah? Now, that is a process that works in public speaking, but here's the thing that makes it more relevant than just when you stand in front of an audience. You see, when you are called to look into the lens of a camera and deliver your message calmly, with poise, and with personal power, if you are a person who has not yet resolved your childhood anxieties and your fears, if you're someone who is not so sure that you were born for a purpose and you're just a number, if you're scared of being alive and you're apologetic about your life, if you believe that relative or that friend who told you that you were an accident and you were not intended to be born, your mama got pregnant by accident, which is a stupid, naive thing because God does not make accidents when he makes people. And all those emotional conflicts that have plagued most of us for our past in one way or another, if you have not yet resolved them, when you stand in front of that camera, it'll make you melt. Now we're talking about nervousness as an aggressive stage where you call it fear. So here's the deal. When you stand in front of that lens, knowing that it's going to be, or even live right now on the internet, where thousands of people around the world can be watching you, and they're not just watching you now, because once it hits the internet, you can't hide anymore. They can watch you tomorrow, they can watch you next year. If you flinch, they see it. If you're scared, they feel it. If you make a mistake, they hear it. If there's something in your teeth from lunch, they see it. Subsequently, when you're able to master all of that, you take care of yourself in the bathroom, make sure you look good and so forth, and you don't have these emotional things plaguing you anymore, and you can look in the lens and you can speak with poise and power, or you can stand in front of an audience and just connect with them without worrying about yourself, the delivery mechanism, and you're totally preoccupied with them. You cannot move from being afraid to that state of poise and power without it changing your life. Let me say it again. And I say it categorically, with everything in me that I know, from empirical research to my own experience. It is impossible for you to go from a normal person or one who's scared stiff of presentations to being one who's completely assured and powerful on the lens, through the lens, or in front of an audience, and deliver with passion, totally preoccupied with the audience. Without that transition, making you a powerful human being, giving you peace of mind and calm, resolving the issues in your mind that used to plague you, you cannot do both. You cannot be conflicted of your own being and personality and identity and still deliver with this kind of assurance that we're describing here. So you see, when I have the privilege to coach you, and you deal with those issues that make it hard for you to present because you can't manage the nervousness, you're not just fixing public speaking. You're fixing all the interfaces you have with people. You're fixing the conversations that you have with yourself in the dark, where you tell yourself terrible things that you wouldn't even tell to other people. You're fixing your mind. You're fixing the way you relate to the world. And that, therefore, because it's so expansive, generalized from public speaking, which puts you under the hot lights that are scary, gives you greater economic value, and people are willing to pay you more. Does that seem too simple? Well, truth is not complicated, you know. Ignorance is. You understand? Are you with me with the logic that I'm laying out here? Okay. So I said number one, nervousness. When it is heightened to the level of immobilizing fear, the coaching that we do, the personal coaching that we do, and the group coaching will help people to resolve their life issues that have stood in the way of their public speaking. And so that when they are able to do this public speaking properly, their life issues will have disappeared or been minimized, and they become much more powerful. That's the first one. The second, when the fear is not aggressive and intense enough to be immobilizing, make you fall down before you step on the stage, make you bumbling so no words can come out coherently, intelligibly. But you just feel a little quaking and a little shaking. And you feel butterfly in your stomachs and your palms are sweating. In our coaching, we give you perhaps an unexpected solution to that. Okay, so you're standing on the edge of the stage, the lights are about to go on, the camera lens is looking at you, you're going to step right in focus, and now the television's watching you. Everybody can see you. But your stomach feels a little bit upset and your palms are sweating and you're even trembling a bit. The solution that we give you is do not fix it, leave it alone. You need it. You need nervousness. And we even give you the biology of it. The biology is that the sympathetic nervous system is a mechanism and an ecosystem within your within your body of your nerves, your neurons, the whole firing mechanism that makes you conscious and aware, where the pituitary gland knows that you're about to do something really important, and so it sends messages to your body to prepare you, and that the messages cause you to sweat and sometimes to tremble. Because sweating releases heat. and the pressure necessary for you to do the work so that you don't overheat. The trembling also releases energy. So here's where this comes from. Way back in the day when we used to walk into the forest and a tiger might run at us, way back when we were facing danger every day, we somehow developed, or God gave it to us, the ability to take on superhuman power when we're about to do something really challenging and really important. So at the point when you're going through the forest and you see the tiger, your pituitary gland sends messages to shunt all the oxygen, or most of the oxygenated blood that would normally go to your internal organs out to your periphery, so that you gain muscle strength and you gain speed so that you can run away from the tiger or fight for your life. Maybe it's a dog, tigers usually win, but you never know. And so it is a survival mechanism that equips you to do really important, powerful work. In today's world, there are stories that have been told about human beings doing superhuman things, like a mama watching a car run over her daughter's leg, and the mother is able to lift that car off the leg to save her precious child's leg from getting further crushed. That's happened. Go look it up. Those kinds of things that are amazing. A mama who can't swim or a father who can't swim will jump in and bring a child out and doesn't even know how he or she does it. And that is because this survival mechanism that we call nervousness equips us to do important work that's challenging so that we are ready for it. And so, again, I say to you that because the pituitary gland and the whole sympathetic nervous system is aware that when you're engaged in this intense activity, it causes a lot more activity, more blood rushing through your heart faster, and it heats up. It says, we're going to tremble, because in this trembling, there's this thing called vasodilation, where your nerve endings get closer to the surface, and as they tremble, they're dispelling energy to keep you from overheating. And the sweat glands also dispel energy, because when evaporation takes place, the body cools down. The answer to nervousness that is manageable, in other words, not the immobilizing fear, is leave it alone. You need it. Because I have been through situations in my life where I tried to manage the nervousness down. I remember occasions where I did everything that I could not to feel nervous. And so I'd walk out on stage just feeling fairly blasé, and I could not deliver with passion. So you need that. In fact, I would even say to you that if you're going to deliver an important speech and you don't feel a little bit nervous, a few butterflies in the stomach, like you're, oh my gosh, am I ready? What if it doesn't come across properly? If you don't have a little of that, you need to worry. Because that energy is that preparation that you have, that when you start to speak will come through your words and come through your body language to make the connection with the audience, so that you're not just a talking head. Are you with me? So, ladies and gentlemen, where are we in this discourse? Let me step back. I have been on this path of teaching people how to deliver powerful public speaking and to do leadership in ways that transcend what they learn in school and at home. And I'm fortunate that I've had extraordinary results, and companies have made multiplied millions, and people have gotten raises and promotions from it. But having just been reminded that I should not negate the importance of the economic value of all of this, I'm now shifting slowly to talk about the money it can make you. And the foundation of this is that you grow up to realize your potential in much higher ways than you have in the past. That if you still have dreams and hopes and expectations, they are available. They chose you. You did not choose your dreams. And they're waiting for you to get the gumption and the energy and the confidence to come after them. They're waiting for you. And that public speaking has been one of my lead ways to get people into that emotional state where success can find them. But now, it is important that you not take it for granted as I have done. When you get to that place, you're greater economic value. People will pay you more, whether you be an employee or a business owner or some, what is this called? The gig economy, somebody in the gig economy standing on the side of the street singing, or a YouTuber. And to get there, You may be in the position in which I was. I needed Gordon Wade to be my coach, to teach me about my own value. Gosh, there have been so many occasions where he's just taken it for granted that the money is available and I should just ask for it because I'm delivering value. And if you let me, I will do everything that I can to help you to get into that space where what you have to impart to the world in your business is so polished and so ready, and your mind is so clear about the value of it that you attract the economic benefits that you deserve. And you don't lowball it like I was inclined to do. See, I know what it feels like to be at that place where I'm afraid to tell people what I'm worth. And I know what it feels like to make 6 months income in one day. I know what that feels like, and I will do everything that I can. In fact, I'd be so bold as to say, give me 30 days. Give me 30 days if you're interested. I will put you on a 30-day challenge where in that 30-day period, you will learn so much about highly polished, professional, powerful public speaking that you never have to worry about it again. Now, we keep improving, obviously, and situations change. But I have a 30-day challenge that will teach you poise, preparation, how to write a script, how to speak without a script, how to do lighting, how to set up your equipment, how to deal with difficult audiences, what to do when you're on the edge of the stage and you're nervous to step forward, how to manage your breathing, all of the stuff that I have learned over the last 25 years of working with senior executives. All of it has been boiled down into these little vignettes that I will teach you day by day in 30 days. And so that part is relatively simple if you're serious about success. And if you're serious about having the ability to stand with poise and passion and deliver your voice to the world that's really waiting for you. But that's not a real big deal. Along with this 30 days, if you're interested, for the 90 days, 3 months, and this is a bit crazy, I will coach you personally. I mean, like you and me talking in a group setting with a small group of folks on how to put into practice what you learn. And not just in public speaking, but how you think about life, how you think about yourself, how you understand people, how you package value, how you promote value, how you deliver value, so that people will get intrinsic value out of you and your technical skills, and therefore be able to return economic value to you that will raise your financial status. Now, please pardon my energy here. I don't really think I need pardon, but please excuse my energy here. I'm speaking as though I were the world's greatest expert at something. I'm not. I'm speaking as though, my path is paved and, working at Procter & Gamble, having multi-billion-dollar clients all around the world, flying first class to Budapest, and I am of the elite. I'm not. I will end with this. This little boy, I'm over 29 years old, by the way. This little boy who's speaking with you spent the first 20 years of his life in a rural town without electricity, running water, or even an inside toilet. And those were not the big deal. He had no social respectability. Many people around in the neighborhoods did not expect him to make it. His father had left him when he was 6 years old, when his father went abroad, and then his mother left him when he was 8 years old. He grew up with relatives, uncles here, aunts here, and then a grandmother. You know those kids who the family has to shunt them off to this one, this cousin, this uncle, and so forth, to live in this little room and sleep on that bed and that couch and so forth, and somehow go to school? I was one of those children. My mother was 15, 16 years old when she got pregnant. And I was a shame to the family. They wanted to hide my mother. My uncle told my mother, "You should be ashamed of yourself. Why don't you have an abortion and spare us of the embarrassment?" But then I ended up living with my grandmother, who taught me words. She presented a version of reality to me that changed my life. She coached me. She helped me to transform. She helped me to go to school and stay in school so that I would get the technical skills necessary to have intrinsic value so that I could then get economic value. I know what it is like to be below average in terms of expectations of others. And I know what it is like to be at the top of the pole where people take me around the world, pick my luggage up, don't even want me to carry the luggage, pay me more than I'm worth in my young mind and than I think I'm worth in my young mind back in the old days, and have a life of freedom and flexibility. And as I wrap this thing up, what drives me is to repeat myself. There's very little that gives me greater joy than to see someone with technical skills who doubts himself or doubts herself or is not going for gold, and have that person just come up and go, and just bust open and starts to soar. And if you have any interest at all working with me over the next 90 days, and certainly for this 30-day challenge, to help you with a whole life transformation, with everything that I have in me, I want you to put in that chat, interested. That's it, just the word interested. If you should see this by some other means and you are interested, send me an email, alvin@alvinday.com, alvin@alvinday.com. Put the date, put your name, and say interested. And we'll go through a process to see if you can be a part of this team where we do live coaching and where we talk about how you can master public speaking and change the world. That's it. Damas y caballeros, mesdames et messieurs. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what I came to share with you today. Last challenge I give you is this. This is not some sort of panacea that's going to make everything easy. You might not expect this from me, but life sucks. What did he say? Life sucks. I thought you were a positive person. Life is terrible. There are wars taking place where we didn't think those kinds of wars could happen anymore. There is racial sensitivity that is dividing people across the world, not just in America, because everybody's connected to what's going on in America. There are people being run over. There are hurricanes and there are tornadoes that are whipping houses and shredding them to bits and killing people. Accidents are happening. People are dying of cancer. There's discouragement, there's depression. This is not some way of, just simple positive thinking. I know all of that to be true. Life sucks. Can I tell you something else? Life is wonderful. Life is amazing. When you look at the flowers in the field that nobody planted, you wonder where it came from. When you see the beautiful clouds against the sky, the naval color sky, and when you look at the ocean with its turquoise colors like I do when I'm as a fisherman, when you see life throbbing through the ant on the ground and the leaf that's coming up under your feet, you realize that there's an ecosystem and a perfection that makes life wonderful. And then you find somebody you love and you have companionship and you have food and you have fellowship with people and you go home feeling like you belong. Life is amazing. The joy and the fulfillment of accomplishment and hard work that makes you sleep because you deserve it. Life is amazing. Here's the challenge I have for you, with which I invite you to be part of our work. Both of them are wrapped together in life. The good and the ugly, the sucks and the wonderful. And my challenge for you is, which one of them is your default condition? Do you belong to the sucks or do you belong to the life is wonderful? And the answer is right here. The answer is right here. I am so confident that when you work with a coach like I had to work with Gordon Wade, you can move from moderate to terrible life sucks to the wonderful side of life. Even though you go through some bad times, you come back to the wonderful side of life. And this is the energy and the power that drives us in this Facebook group, in this work that we do to coach people. I look forward to working with you. If you have an interest, say interested. Come again next week. Bring somebody who needs to hear this, and we will talk more about this thing, about personal power and influence in a world that for some people has gone bad. It is an amazing world for those who conquer their thoughts, their hearts, and what's happening inside their stomachs. If you want to earn more, you must achieve more. If you want to achieve more, you must become more.